At this point, I might want to manage some files and some folders so that I can access them throughout the course and make them available just to me right now. On the right-hand side, you have these different blocks, and there should be a block that says My Private Files. If it doesn't exist right here, you don't see it, under Add a Block, you select and find My Private Files. Takes a moment, it will appear on the bottom, and you can move any of these in any direction, whether you want them higher or lower, whatever you want, just by selecting the Move folder. But I have My Private Files existing now, so I want to manage My Private Files. And rather than having all my files show up everywhere, I'm going to want to create some folders. So I'm going to create a small folder, and I'm going to call this one Documents, so that I can put documents in there later. I'll create another folder. I may call that Photos. I'll create another folder, and this one I might put down Movies, if I have some movies I want to add later to bring into my class. I'll create another folder. I'm going to call that one Notes, and that could be like PowerPoint, so that could be Keynote things from a Mac, whichever program I have. So now I've created these. Now I may want to add things to them later. So say, for example, I want to go into my Documents folder. I want to add something in the Documents folder. It's going to allow me to browse. I'll go in Browse and I'll say, okay, I have a few documents here. For now, I'm just going to select down the complete document about the U.S. government. Say OK. Later on, I'll show you how to upload a batch file, but this is one way to do this for starters. I'm going to say Fine, go back to Files on the top left, and I may want to add a couple of photos here for now. I want to add, I'll just take one for now, and I might want to say one of them here is the White House, big picture. So I'm going to say OK. I'm going to upload these files. So at this point, I've created some files that I can have. I'm going to say Save Changes. And I'm back to my course. On the right-hand side, I'll scroll back down, and you can see under My Private Files, I have 4 folders. 2 of them have information in it. By hitting the plus sign, it'll tell me what's in there. Then I can do things with it as I please throughout the course. At this time, I want to be able to send some kind of communication to my students to be able to prepare them to discuss something in class on the next period. So what I'll do is I will send them a forum question, and I'll say, this is what I need you to do. So up on the top right-hand corner where it says Add a New Topic, I will select that. I'm going to select an idea for the topic. It says, read the quote at the beginning of chapter 1. In the message, I want to elaborate a little bit more. I've said read quote at the beginning of chapter 1 and prepare to challenge. I ask students often to challenge something that's being said. All of my chapters begin with a quote from a member of government who sends the readers thinking a little bit about what's about to happen and whether or not it's a topic that draws discussion or argument. So I'm going to say prepare to challenge, and I want to highlight that. So I'm going to highlight that and select bold, and this is an emphasis to the students to say this is important what I want you to do. On the bottom, this is an HTML format. I want you to see that. The subscription goes to everyone who's in this forum. Those are all the students in my class. If I had an additional attachment with this quote, let's say if I had some information about the person speaking on that, I could add that file right here. I don't at this time. If I selected Mail Now in this box, all of my students would automatically get a mailing of this particular question that I've asked them to do. Or I can wait for them to come and read it when they go to Moodle, which is what I'm choosing right now. So I'm selecting Post to Forum. It says my post was successful. If I wanted to change it, I'd have 30 minutes. Now, up in the top right-hand corner, I can see read quote at the beginning of, it starts to say chapter 1. If I select more, next to it, it would bring up that whole thing. If I selected News Forum underneath the syllabus, it will also bring up that whole argument. So I'll show you what that looks like. If I select News Forum, it says read quote at the beginning of chapter 1. If I selected that, it would go into greater detail of what I just typed up ahead. I started this discussion. It tells you that it was me. If students reply, it will tell me how many replies I have, and they would show up on the bottom. So all the kids in the class could also see who replied what they said as well. Now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the page, select Government 101, and it brings me back to where I started.